Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome to episode 53 of Shrigleytube TV. Thanks for everybody that's took the time to comment and send a little message. I've really enjoyed reading all your comments. I'm sorry I haven't replied to them all. I will try and get time to sit down and reply to most of them. This week's been a bit random. There's all sorts gone on, but nothing really achieved. I don't know how that's happened. So the video's full of little bits and pieces. We did do some nice machine work on a crankshaft. I enjoyed that. That was good. And then we went to visit Ben down south, so that was good. And we had a visit from Peter in his Lotus and Jonathan in his Metro. But you'll see all that in a minute. So hope you enjoy what you see. And what I was going to say was, if anybody out there, we've had problems, as you imagine, with the audio. So if anybody out there can suggest a audio setup that either uses Bluetooth or will plug into a modern iPhone with the little jack, so I can get the audio quality up, because I'm just buying these cheap ones, and to be honest with you, they're absolutely rubbish. They serve a purpose, but they're just not. I can see what people. I get a lot of messages basically saying, please sort your audio out. So I don't mind investing a bit of money on the right job, but I haven't got a clue. So if anyone out there knows, please put in the comments box what I should buy, and I'll get it bought. Right, thanks for tuning in. I'll look forward to seeing you all next Sunday at 7. Bye for now. Have a great week. Okay, chaps, today we're talking crankshafts. We're going to have a little chat about cranks in an imp, and what a fantastic bit of kit they are. So, right, we're going to start at the beginning. This is an imp crank. They're made out of EN8, and they're a forging. So if you look, you can see the forge lines there where it was stamped out, years ago in the big machinery foundry or whatever. So it's a lovely bit of kit. All the grain flow follows beautiful. We can run these to 8,500 RPM all year long, no problem at all. The cranks, they don't even wear with the modern synthetic oil. They're brilliant. Now, this here is a Talbot Sunbeam crankshaft, which is an engine that was made in the 80s for the 1 litre Talbot Sunbeam, the same car as became that Lotus Sunbeam, etc. So they had a 930cc imp engine stood upright, and they changed a few things. They made them out of EN16, so it's a better material, and they are a nicer crankshaft. This one's not in very good conditions. It's just been hanging around, but I'm just using it as a sample. Now the difference is it has 5 studs on the end, so it's a slightly different fitment to the imp, and it's also half an inch longer, which throws, if I've lined all the cranks up in line here, which throws a few problems into the mix. So the reason this video is, I cannot get enough good standard size imp cranks anymore to do the jobs that I want to do for the racers. I don't like using reground cranks because it's very hard to find someone who understands the importance of getting the radius correct, and if you don't get that bit correct, you can cause a stress raiser, which can later cause a crankshaft to break, as we have covered in the past with Dom's father's crankshaft that snapped on his little road going 930. So it's very important. I like to start with a standard size crankshaft, never go undersized unless I absolutely have to, and then only in a roadie, not a racer. And then obviously I've got an abundance of these because I bought loads of the Talbot Sunbeam engines over the time because they're in fire pumps, so they've always had an easy life. And I've just thrown the cranks to one side and put imp cranks in them. So what you do is, basically an imp has this type of seal on the back where it's called a scroll seal. So this runs inside a diameter at the back of the block, and it's like a big worm. And the idea is it feeds the oil back into the engine constantly. They always drip a little bit, but as a road car they're fine. But in a racer, if you imagine this is at the back of the engine and then the back of the car's here, when you press the brakes hard, braking for a corner, the oil rushes up to this area and it flicks the oil past, it comes past the scroll, flicks it off the flywheel and covers the engine bay in oil, which is most annoying. So starting with that, this is how it works. This is an imp block. So that's the diameter it runs in. This is quite a good block. When the mains get worn, what happens is you see it all start to pick up and make a mess of itself. So what happens is, a clever chap called Mark Maynard devised this, the imp rear oil seal conversion. So all you do is turn the scroll off, turn it down to 3-inch, and you machine the back of the block, and you put the seal housing in with the seal, and they work quite well, to be fair, especially in a road car. But in a racer they do tend to dribble a little bit, but nothing like as bad as this scenario. So here's an image of one that I've fitted in a car in an engine. So this is an imp block, and it's had the back machined, etc. Now
Most of the engines I build in race cars are based on the 930 block, because the 930 block has a rear seal diameter, a 3-inch seal diameter as standard. So that's this engine here. So if you look at the in block, and we'll get them both in the same visual, you can see there's a few extra webs. It's been designed to take this big 3-inch lip seal, and it's generally just a stronger and better design. If you look at the side of the block, we've got some nice extra webs here, whereas the imp is quite thin. But don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with an imp block. Imp block works absolutely fine. They don't crack, they don't have any problems. It's just that the 930 does have more rigidity through being a later casting and having this rear oil seal. So it's perfectly accepted in the Hillman circles to run the Talbot Sunbeam 930 engine. Obviously, what the easiest way of putting one in your car is to take the 930 crank, throw it in the bin, and put an imp crank in, which you've machined down to 3-inch diameter, and then that runs straight away on the lip seal. Every offset is the same, because it's this face here to here is identical to the imp, so you haven't got to modify anything else. You just put the imp crank in it and you're away. So I'm going off subject here, aren't I? So what I say is, I need crankshafts at a standard size, haven't been ground, haven't been run, but will fit the imp flywheel. So we can see straight away, this one, the Talbot Sunbeam one, has got 5 bolts, and the imp one has got 4. So lots of my race cars have already got like TTV flywheels and stuff. They won't want to buy another flywheel, but every year we take the crankshaft out and pension it off and replace it with another good standard one, because the stresses get up in them over the year, so we don't like to push them for too long. Obviously fatigue is something that creeps in over time, so we always replace the crankshaft with another one. But like I say, I'm struggling. So what my plan is, what all this 5 minutes waffle is all about, I want to run this crankshaft as a replacement for that, but I want it modified so it runs exactly the same end, so I can bolt an imp flywheel, same offset, etc. So I'm going to machine it back 12mm, recreate this larger index than this one in this face here, so that the imp flywheel can fit on it, recreate the dowel, and recreate the 4 holes. So we'll go over to the lathe now and continue the crankshaft chat. Okay chaps, I've cleaned the lathe down, because just in case Kit from down under, who always comments on the scruffy state of my workshop, is watching tonight, and he's like, I think he'd be proud of me if he sees how much I've cleaned it. I've washed all the swarf off it. So anyway, this is a new 930 crankshaft. It's got a bit of wax on it and stuff, and I plan to modify it to make it the same as an imp crank. So what I've done, for those of you that aren't that well up on engineering, I've put it in the chuck, holding it at this end, so this is going to provide the spin. And then what happens is, we're going to machine this end, but because it's so far away from the point that it's been held, if we just put the revolving centre in there, we'd get something called run out, because the whole thing wouldn't be secure. So the best way of making sure that all the modifications are 100% true to this diameter and the crankshaft rear main diameter is to use something called a 3-point steady. Now this 3-point steady isn't actually a 3-point steady that fits this Harrison M300, but I bought it off eBay because I couldn't find the correct one, and modified it to fit. So it has basically 3 bronze bushes that are on screws, and one at the top there. And then what happens is, we put the the centre, which is in line with the chuck, in the end of the crankshaft to support it, so we know it's not drooping down. And then we spin it, and we literally wind these screws up till the bronze touches the crankshaft in 3 places, and then we nip it all up, so we now know that the back of the crankshaft is supported, and when it goes round, no matter what load we put on it, it will stay concentric. Now, I missed a stage out before. This is the Talbot Sunbeam crankshaft, and what I've done is, if you zoom in, you can see I've basically got 5 old flywheel bolts, cleaned them all off with brake cleaner, and I have Loctited them with Loctite retainer. That's the location dowel there, into the back of the boss, the flywheel boss, crankshaft boss, and what I'm going to do, what I've done is I've just ground them off so that they're now virtually level. So before I start machining, it's all the holes are bunged, because when we re-drill it for the 4 new bolts for this imp flywheel, 2 of the holes will ever so slightly encroach into that area. But what we've got to remember is, on an imp, it's a straight through hole, it's not blind. But on a Talbot Sunbeam, the hole finishes about here. So by the time we've moved 1/2 inch off the end of it, we'll only actually have another 10mm of thread in the block, in the back of the boss, and then we'll have the nice fresh material to go all the way through to the back, so that we can get I've bought some new bolts, so we get some new ARP bolts in there, and it'll be all real nice. So I'm going to start by facing this lug off, and then I'm going to recreate that index for the bigger imp flywheel on the back of the crankshaft, and then we'll clean it all up. What I have to do as well is we have to drill the hole deeper to the same as an imp, and then what I've done is, rather than running a needle roller bearing or a bronze bush, I bought some sealed bearings. We're going to bore it for that and put that in position so that the input shaft can run nicely and supported in a sealed bearing that will be a bit more robust than the needle rollers and the oilite bush that's fitted as standard. Right, I'll report when I've done some work.
Okay, we've now got the tail end of the 930 crankshaft looking like an imp one. So you can see, I'll zoom in, we've now got the depth of hole to support the input shaft. So I've gone another 10mm deeper at the very bottom of this hole, and then I've machined this to take this little sealed bearing, so that'll go in the end and support the spigot bush. And then this index here is the same as an imp flywheel, and this thickness here is the same as an imp flywheel boss on the crankshaft. So all I've got to do now is I've got to put the flywheel on as a template and re-drill and tap all of the holes in the end of the crankshaft, and it should be fully converted, he says. All deburred. Job's only as good as a deburr, remember that. Okay, moved over to the Vadal drill now. So this drill is attached to a pedestal which I've clamped the end of the crankshaft down with. So basically what happens is I'm going to come down now and drill the 4 holes. You can see that's the blank dowel, that's the blank where I've done the 3/8 UNF thread in it, and this one I ordered a special drill to give me the correct pinch so that when I knocked the dowel in it was dead rigid. So I've got a dowel in. So now when I put the flywheel over, I use a flywheel as a template to spot face all the other holes or make a mark, then we'll drill and tap them, and the job should be a good one. Okay, YouTubers, I'm feeling a bit chuffed with myself. I've finished doing the end of my crankshaft. So this is the B1 Sunbeam. So it started off like that one. We wanted it to look like this. Obviously the index that supports the flywheel is slightly shallower because we didn't have the overall length, but the rest of it's really good. I mean, I don't know if you can quite zoom in here and see, but that's one of the holes, original ones. That one's encroached. That one's nothing. That one's encroached. That one's not affected. That one's not affected. But it is only, these bolts that have been encroached into are only about 5 or 6mm deep, because it was a blind hole originally, and we've set the whole thing further back. So I fitted the needle roller bearing, well, not needle roller, it's a ball bearing with a nice plastic shield on it, so the clutch dust from getting out feels lovely. And this is my input shaft, so here's a moment of truth. So, oh, look at that. I reckon if Alan Milliard was here now, he'd say it's just perfect, that, Andy. So, got it all ready to go. I'm going to give this one to the customer to test. Obviously he's got his bolts there. It should be a straightforward bolt your imp flywheel on and away you go. Okay, YouTubers, you might remember some time back we looked at a Ian Carter mini imp engine, i.e. an imp engine on top of a mini gearbox. It was belt driven, hence there's no timing chest on the front of it, and it's a very special bit of kit. Well, the chap's building the engine up himself, and I thought I'd just do a quick look at the head before I sent it back to him. So it had a bit of bruising, if you can see, on this cylinder where the piston had been hitting the head, so I've literally just given it a light skim and redone the wheel string grooves just like 10th hour. But what I got really excited about, hence the reason for this video, was it's got an original Hartwell stamp on it. Look at that. Not often you see one of those. I've only ever seen 2 or 3 of those in my imp career. So it's a very nice little cylinder head. Obviously, we talked about the Chessman the other day. You can see they've gone about things a slightly different way. They haven't took a welder to it. I've just put some support screws in Ian Carter style, you know, to support the chamber where it's a bit of a hollow underneath it. But yeah, lovely bit of kit. Right, we'll get this in the post room now.
Okay, YouTubers, we've got a bit of a treat here for you. This lovely car pulled up outside. I just heard it before I saw it. I thought, what on earth has pulled up? And it's well, I'm not going to tell you anything about it because I know nothing about it, but it's a real pretty, very rare supercar, and it belongs to my friend Peter here, who's a major Lotus enthusiast. If Andy Green's watching this, he'll probably know a bit about this car as well. Right, Peter, thanks for letting me make a little video about your car. Tell what is it exactly?
The Lotus GTE, which was made for Le Mans racing back in 2011, and they had to build at least 25 so they could be homologated so that they could race at Le Mans, which they did.
Wow.
And they built 30 of these, and then in 2011 the CEO of Lotus was sacked, Danny Baja, and this was his project. So in 2011 they scrapped the whole project and left all 30 cars outside in a parking lot at Lotus. And in 2014 they decided to get the best 20 back out into the factory, rebuilt them, but they kind of detuned them, put bolt-on wheels in, leather interior, and a standard 350 brake engine. Whereas this is the concept car, which has a 440 brake, Swindon tuned engine, centre lock wheels, carbon fibre interior, and is exactly how they built the concept car. So this particular car was used by Lotus for type approval. So it's done virtually no miles when we built it, but then at the factory they used this one for spare parts, so it was gutted, stripped. And when we got it, it was just a bare tub, no engine, gearbox, no fuel tank, no bodywork, no interior, and we built it back up. Took us 3 years to do it, but and we finished it last year and took it to Le Mans Classic.
Wow, what an achievement! That is some serious bit of car. That is. You just ran some stats before. Did you say it weighed?
It's 1200.
1200.
Yeah.
And how many horsepower?
440.
440. It's a Toyota Swindon-based supercharged V6.
3.5 litre supercharged Swindon tuned V6.
Wow. And you've converted it to a manual shift as well.
Yeah, originally it had an AMT gearbox with hydraulic rams on the gearbox, but it didn't work very well, so I've put cables in and a manual shift. So it's still got the original GTE gearbox, but it's all manual now.
Brilliant. Well, I don't think the camera does it true justice, but the presence it has is, you know, I only like imps and Ford Sierras, but this is proper. It's a very pretty car, and it's very wide. It's got real stance. That is it. Okay if we have a look at inside with the interior? It's not a posh car. It's a racing car. This, when you look inside, you'll see. You know, it's like carbon fibre effects everywhere, and nice dashboard, isn't it? It's all proper design. It's beautiful. Just a sheet of carbon. Wow, and it's good strength in that sill there. Looks like there's plenty of carbon fibre in there as well, and the door panel as well. Wow. Has it got air conditioning?
Yeah, well, it has. Yeah,
Gordon Bennett.
it's not happening.
Right, wicked. Well, do you mind if we hear it? Peter's the chap that's had the who built. You might remember from a few episodes ago the motorcycle Norton half imp engine. Look at that. It's an absolute animal, Peter. I'd ask you to take me out in it, but you'd scare me. Well, thank you very much for showing us around. That's superb, that. And we'll do an update on your engine. But just Peter's taking it away to weld the block, and then we're going to have another look at what bore size we can get it to, etc. And we'll do a video on that separate. Right, thanks, Peter.
Chaps, I'm here with a very special person, Mr. Ben Boult, and he's raced and done hill climbs and ran the HSA for many a year. He's done an awful lot, but what surprises me is that in recent times, like just after COVID, I came to see Ben, and he said, see a little car there, he raced that with his family, his mum and his dad, back in the, was it 60s?
Into the 60s, yeah.
60s, yeah. And he said, I'm going to race that car in the 750 Motor Club. And I thought, oh, fair play. And then he's done that, and then he's bought this car as well, which is a more modern version of the 750, which we'll talk to in a minute. But yeah, I just thought you guys, sorry, the phone slipped at me on. You guys might be interested to hear what Ben's got to say, because he's done an awful lot. I don't think we can go through the whole lot, Ben, but we can at least start with maybe the endurance event at Silverstone.
Yeah, we did the 6-hour relay race in 1964. Mum, Dad and myself, 3 different cars. Mum drove the silver car, one which is over there, which we'd still got. Last ran early 1965, but I didn't drive it, Mum did. And then 2022, I resurrected it, which is what Andy saw in 21 when it was still as it was, and I raced it in 22.
I remember the fuel tank, you said it pinholed. Remember the fuel tank had got water in it, it rotted out the bottom, and you were going to weld a patch in it, and I thought...
No, it was just too bad when I came to it. It wasn't just a pinhole, you could actually put your fist through it.
Oh, right, okay.
So I finished up getting an aluminium one made.
Oh, fair play.
The radiator was the same steel radiator, and the rust had got in it, and that blocked that up. So it's now got an aluminium rod on it, which I'd made.
I know you had a lot of problems with cooling, didn't you? Because what's amazing was, I know you were like lightning quick up the hill back in the day, but you've come to this championship and done quite well, really, haven't you? You've had some good times, and you're running top 5 regular. And let's have a look at this new car. What's this new car called?
This is a Centaur.
A Centaur. Try and get the camera. I'm not used.
Rubbish that's all over.
Yeah, he's a busy man.
I'll move that off it. You can
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure we can see around it. But,
yeah, it's a Centaur.
And that's a Reliant engine.
It's a Reliant engine. Carburettor's in bits at the moment because we're doing some work on the carb. But it's a Reliant 850. Basically, the bottom end has to remain the same. You can't do anything with it. The only thing you can do is you can control camshaft, and you can do what you want with the cylinder head. But you can't change the rockers, you can't change the valve sizes.
Right,
so
right.
It's just really porting, that's all you can do.
So with sort of 70 horsepower and maybe 450, 500 kilograms, it's probably quite potent on track, that.
Yeah, well, this one, when we had it on the rollers last year, we managed to get 48 out of it.
48 horsepower.
And a lot of the lads are running sort of like 58, 59 brake now. So I'm just hoping that when I build a new engine for it, I can get similar to them or a bit better.
I'm sure you'll do something. So I'll just have a quick look around this older car, if that's okay, because that's a real gem, isn't it? I mean, I don't think safety was in mind when they built this one. If you look at it,
there's so much rubbish on it.
Yeah, it's just busy in here, isn't it? But if you look, there's not actually got a roll cage. Has it got a seatbelt, Ben?
No.
No seatbelt. So yeah, look at the dashboard in that. That's cracking, isn't it? I'll just try and get a visual on it. There you go. So moving on to the last car we're going to talk about. That's this one here. I think what I'm going to do is, I'm absolutely useless at controlling this phone. I'm going to turn the camera around so we can see it better. Yeah, the workshop's busy. Right, so this is the last car. Now this is it a hill climb car?
It's a hill climb car. It's a Delta T82. It was originally run by Martin Pericini, then by Sue Sturgis. Sue Sturgis won the ladies' events with it several times, in fact almost every time. And I finished up with it because a guy called Paul Duckworth bought it.
Oh, I remember Paul.
Yeah, you remember Paul?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Paul wasn't very well, and his problems came back, and he just couldn't afford to race. So
Right.
He dropped it, and he owed me some money, and I sold his trailer for him, and I sold the engine out of this, or theoretically the engine out of it, and I had the rest of it as part of the bad debt.
Right.
Since then, I actually got another engine in between time, which was the X-Ray Rainer engine out of his Reynard, and the guy that was going to buy this engine bought the one out of the Reynard, so we left this one in, stripped it, rebuilt it, used it a few times. It was quick, and I won the class with it when I drove it down. I can't remember where it was, in Wales. And
Pembrey?
Yeah, not Pembrey, the other one by Cardiff.
Landau, is it?
Yeah, Landau.
Landau, sorry.
And it's a good car. I've used it at Kerbera. I've been inside my car engine record, which I still hold, 1100 car engine record in a single seater at Kerbera.
Really?
Nobody's beaten it with a car engine. Beat it with bike engines because they're light and quick.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got within 200ths of a second of my record with this car first time I drove it. But the tyres were old, and it came back here, and it sat in my trailer for nearly 7 years.
Wow.
And I dragged it out last year because I wanted the trailer.
So the point, the relevance of telling you all about this car really is, Ben's looking to sell it. So if you're looking for something that's historic, and you know, it's got, is that a Hewland Mark 9 gearbox?
Hewland Mark 9.
Hewland Mark 9 gearbox with an imp engine upright. It's got twin 40 DCOEs on it, and I assume that engine is like 1150cc or something, is it?
It should be 1100.
1100cc, which would be the class limit. And it's got what looks like a proper roll cage in it, so it's safe. So yeah, if you're looking for something to buy, if you you can either contact Ben directly. He's all over the internet as Corley Conversions, so his phone number's on there. Just contact Ben and or send him a message, and I'm sure he'll get you more pictures and more history about the car and whatever. But yeah, it just wants what looks like a light recommissioning, really, doesn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it needs somebody that's got the time to take it apart, clean it, possibly re-nickel the suspension parts because they've suffered with being in the trailer.
Ah, right.
And the engine could do with a strip and a rebuild because it's just sat for 7 years.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's got the carburetors on it, and it's also got full electronic ignition, so it's full engine management. So it's quite good. Yeah,
brilliant. Well, thanks for talking about your in very brief your racing history, and yeah, we'll talk again no doubt in the future. But thanks for that, Ben,
okay.
And good luck with the sale.
Right, thanks, Andy. If somebody wants it, ring me. I'll take a sensible offer on it.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers. YouTube is a little bit of an update for those that are interested on the Mercedes OM651 engine. I've lost a day virtually cleaning all the bits to put it back together. This is the cam cover. The bolts have gone loose on that because the gasket had settled, so no cracks, everything's fine there. Obviously that's the EGR that was all the bypass pipe that was blocked. I don't even know what that is or where it went. I just found it on the floor covered in oil and thought I'd better clean it, so we'll have to work out where that piece of the jigsaw goes later. This is the oil cooler housing. Now there's 2 O-rings inside here which I've replaced, everything with genuine parts, and I've got these ones were definitely leaking. This is where it goes to the block, so new O-rings there. And if you ever do take one apart, there's like a plunger inside here, and that O-ring had gone hard as well, so I've changed that one. So there's nothing on there that's not, there's no rocks unturned. This is the oil filter housing, which I've also changed the O-rings on. I've not done anything with this because I didn't dare get it wet. It's got some sort of, I mean, can anyone answer the question, why has a diesel engine got an electronic butterfly? I mean, in fact, for that question, why has a diesel engine got different dual length inlet manifold? You know, I mean, what they're trying to achieve other than mega complexity, because my little Passat doesn't have a dual length manifold or a butterfly, and it works perfectly fine. Anyway, I'm not going to get all personal about Mercedes. We're going to try and look at the positives. So this is the manifold that was on the engine that was all horrible and gooey, and I've been trying to understand why A, the bolts were loose, and B, it had blown or whatever. So these sleeves go inside here, and then the bolt goes through the sleeve and etc. comes out there, and it basically creates a pinch. So when you tighten the bolt up, it actually clamps on the sleeve, and the sleeve sits on the head, so you can't over tighten it and break the plastic. So it's a preload basically, and then the O-ring for the rubber inlet manifold gasket holds it off and keeps a pre-tension on it all. And what's happened, I've had a straight edge all over this, and there's no bend in it, there's nothing. In fact, it's quite good. So, and I've measured the depth of the O-ring groove as well, and that's all fine. So when I measure this, it's, say, what did I say it was now? It's just over 25 mil. When I measure these, they are also just over 25 mil. So there's basically no pinch on the plastic. So what I propose to do is I've split all these off the bolts. I'm going to face 20 thou off these and then put them back in the holes, with the hope that that gives me half a mil of pinch all the way around, give it that extra bite so that it squashes the gasket and we don't have this problem again. I don't know what this is. This is like some sort of like other part of it, a plastic part of manifold. Anyway, I can see the end in sight, so I'm happy. But yeah, a lot of plastic parts, which I know it's weight and it's probably material cost, but you know, to have made that in aluminium, it wouldn't have cost that much more money, and it probably wouldn't have had the problems that this has had. So anyway, it is what it is. We'll get on with it, get it done, get it back together, and get it in the outro.
Okay, just a quick update on the OM651 engine. I was busy building Dom's dad's engine in case he's watching this week and wondering where his engine is. It is getting there. We'll just keep getting instructions. I'm sorry, I will be on it next week, and we'll get it to you definitely. Now, this manifold is the inlet manifold. It just has air pressure, you know, from the turbochargers. I mean, it's a diesel engine. What does it run? 10 psi. But for whatever reason, it had pushed off the head and the gasket had blown. And we decided in the last video that these little sleeves that go inside the plastic casting, the bolt tightens up to that, and then it puts like a, I don't know, like a preload on the plastic and holds it hard against the head. Now, there was no pinch on it, so I've machined these down 20 thou. And then I was having a bit of a think about the job after I'd made the video, and I thought, why were the bolts loose? They weren't put in loose, so something must have changed, because if they were hard against that steel sleeve, that hasn't changed. So where has the change taken place? So I came in and I measured the bolts, and 3 of the bolts are about half a mil longer than they were than the rest of them. So what that's basically telling me is that over time, for whatever reason, they have stretched. And when I look at them, they have got like a wasted area down to 5 mil there. It's an M7 thread, so it's right down there under the head. So I thought, I don't want this. We don't want to be going back and revisiting this thing. I want it to go together and stay together. So I ordered some straight shanked, just 8.8 M7x1 bolts, 40 mil long. Put a big washer on it there, so it actually clamps on the plastic, same size as that head, obviously. So yeah, we're going to put these bolts in and hope that they stay tight, because obviously they're shanked all the way, so they haven't got a wasted area. So hopefully they'll just remain tight for the rest of the vehicle's life. So yeah, another learn. The problem with this job, every day is a school day.
Okay, YouTubers, we've got visitors today, all the way from Widnes in his little mini Metro. But this is no ordinary mini Metro. It's got a 1.8 engine, which we'll find out more about in a second. But if you remember a while back, we did a competition, or not a competition, just win a t-shirt if you could guess what was wrong with the gearbox. And this chap, Jonathan, he'd discovered and put a message on the comment section straight away that the interlock plate was in back to front. So congratulations, Jonathan, on your winning a t-shirt. Are you all right?
Yeah, fine, thanks for the t-shirt.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And thanks for my keyring.
Yeah, no problem.
His brother makes keyring, so we might get some Shrigley ones done for the November show. Oh, where's my number plates? Right, sorry. So tell us about this Metro, mate. What have you done to it?
It's an 1800. It's non-VVT. It's running speed Reno. It's got 1100 gearbox on it. It's about 130 horsepower. It goes quite well.
How much does it weigh? About 800 kilograms, something like that?
About 750.
750?
Yeah.
Mate, can we look under the bonnet?
Yeah.
It's completely standard, although what he's done is he's put these Rover, are they 200 SLI or something like that? I don't know. 200 14-inch wheels, so they fill the arches nicely.
Yeah.
But it just looks completely standard apart from that. Let's have a quick look inside. Look at that. I think I used to go to school in one of these at one point. Brilliant. Oh, it's a bit of a squeeze in here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crikey, look at that. So this would have had an 1100.
Yeah.
Single overhead cam K-series in it.
40-50 horsepower or something.
And this has come from, is it like an MGF or?
MGF, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is with the better inlet. It's on about 120, 130 horsepower.
Right.
So
right.
it goes quite well, like.
Yeah, I bet it does. And you say you're on the 1100 gearbox.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 0 to 60 is rapid, and then it's doing about 8,000 RPM, 100 mile an hour.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, not that he'd ever do that on the public highway because he's a responsible adult.
Yeah.
Well, mate, it's absolutely mint. Hopefully he's going to take me for a little whiz on a block it before he goes. But yeah, it's the sort of thing I'd love to do. That I love in the air temp on the battery there. That's brilliant. I love it. Right, thanks, Jonathan, and yeah, congratulations, on winning your thing, and no doubt we'll see more of you in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Bergerac's just let me drive his fiance's car back in this unit. He's just got it back from having the head gasket done. Is that the head gasket on the floor there, Berge? Wow, it's not even an MLS, is it? And not even a multi-layer steel, but it's actually very pleasant in here. It's got a bit of red. Is it a real Ferrari? Yeah, that sounds lovely, doesn't it? 5-pot. Oh. I've never ever looked at one of these in my life. I've got to say, it could possibly be a classic this one day, Bergerac. Got Ferrari wheels. Christ, what's he doing next?
What I have to put up with every day. What I have to put up
What
with.
is it? Is it a scrap?
I don't know what it is.
Let's open the head gaskets. Have a look.
It's 27 years old. It's already a classic. It's already a classic.
Hey, I'm really impressed. I'm glad you're impressed. Oh, look at that. Is that number 5 then?
Number 5, yeah.
Detonation there.
Yeah, not good. Not good, that is it?
Is it over boosting, bro?
It's a non-turbo.
Oh, is it?
Non-turbo, yeah.
Oh,
it's very
right.
rare.
Oh, it's just slackened off over time, and the gasket's settled, and it's just pushed it out the firing. Wow. You have to tell the missus to keep her foot off the accelerator. That's lovely, that. What is going on next door? Crikey. Lads, I'm making a YouTube video here. Can you keep the noise down a bit, please? Well, hang on, you can't swear on YouTube, mate. Jesus. Right, I'm gone now.
Listen, I'm trying to earn some money, right? And you come all the way down the yard, in here, right? Giving me grief about what I'm doing. Get up there and be concerned with what you're doing yourself.
Right, well, you look like...
This is what I have to deal with
No, you don't
every
have to
day.
deal with it. Move out.
He looks like his dad, doesn't he?
Come with you.
When he's angry. What's up? Not made...
Hungry.
Not,
I need a drink.
not made a million yet. It's only Monday dinner time. Must be behind schedule this week. Crikey. Get out of here. Grumpy. Well, that's lovely, that is, Bergerac.
Yeah.
Got to say, you've done your missus proud there, mate.
Well, I've had to pay it. I've done it myself, but look how tight everything is under here. There's no room for anything.
Isn't there? Is it like the Mercedes I've been
Imagine
fixing?
doing a cam belt on that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, it's definitely compact, isn't it? Well, good for you, Berge. And by the way, your belt's on back to front. Look at that.
Going the wrong way around.
Just put the belt on back to front.
Congratulations, YouTubers. You've made it to the end of the show without falling asleep. That's a real achievement. I just wanted to quickly say, if you want a date for your diary, something to do, 8th to the 10th of November, I've booked an auto jumble stand at the NEC. It's the 40th anniversary of the Classic Car Show, and it's supposed to be absolutely massive. They've got all sorts there. They've got like a restoration area, loads of club stands. They've got an enormous auto jumble. They've got American cars, bikes as well are there. There's all sorts. It's all on the website. So if you fancy buying a t-shirt or coming to say hello, we'd love to see you there, 8th to the 10th of November. Okay, have a great week. I'll speak to you next Sunday at 7. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.